Welcome to The Cellar. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new here and you end up liking my content, please consider subscribing. Before we dive into today's stories, I did want to announce really quickly that I'm doing a t-shirt giveaway. In order to enter, all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel and leave a comment on this video below. In the comment section, leave a comment that says giveaway, and you will automatically be entered for the random drawing I will be doing soon. Also, if you'd like to enter for a second chance at winning a shirt, simply go to my prior upload, which is titled Who Killed Molly Bish, and leave a comment that says giveaway there. I will be doing a random drawing on both videos within the next week or so. With all that said, let's not waste any more time as we dive into today's stories. This first story takes us to Disney's Contemporary Resort. Disney's Contemporary Resort is a resort located at the Walt Disney World Resort in Bay Lake, Florida. It opened on October 1st, 1971, and the hotel is one of the two original properties located at the complex alongside Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and it is also adjacent to the Magic Kingdom theme park. We're going to travel back to November 12, 1992. 24-year-old Brian Rebeck was a host at the Top of the World restaurant that was located within Disney's Contemporary Resort. On this day, he was off duty and hanging out with his roommate. The pair would eventually make the decision to travel up to the 15th floor observation deck of the hotel. Brian wanted to show his roommate the unbelievable view from up there. The pair would soon arrive at the observation deck, and Brian would hop onto the 4-foot-high security barrier, taking a seat. It was broad daylight at the time, and the pair would begin looking around, impressed with the amazing vantage point they now had over the resort. What happened next? Not a single person could have seen coming. Out of seemingly nowhere, a giant wasp, followed by another and another, started attacking Brian while he was sitting on the security barrier. In a panic, he started swatting at the wasps, trying frantically to fight them off. As more arrived and attacked Brian, he would continue trying to get them off of him. But then, Brian lost his balance. Brian would fall over the edge of the observation deck. He would plummet 11 floors down, and his body would smash onto the 4th floor landing deck for the monorail. Brian hit so hard, his life ended on impact. One moment he was talking and enjoying the view with his roommate. The next, a bunch of pissed off wasps caused Brian to fall to his death below. In my research, I found that an employee stated, "We noticed the wasps. They were huge and all over the place. Then a little while later, someone came in screaming, 'Call 911. Disney officials would later state that they did not know where the wasps came from. It was also reported that hours after the incident, there were still wasps swarming the observation deck. In the end, the monorail had to be shut down for over 3 hours in order to recover the body and clean up the horrifying accident scene. It's an absolutely terrifying way for anyone to leave this world. As always, I want to send my deepest condolences to 24-year-old Brian Rebeck and all of his family and friends. William Pollock was a 37-year-old man from St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg is a city on Florida's Gulf Coast. The city is a part of the Tampa Bay area and is known for its beautiful weather. I've been to St. Petersburg myself, and it's a beautiful city to walk through and enjoy the many sights. The city has rightfully earned itself the nickname the Sunshine City and has become very popular for those looking to golf, boat, fish, and enjoy the beaches. It was November 5th, 2000. William Pollock was visiting the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida with a friend of his at the time. As early afternoon approached, the pair would make the decision to get in line for the Splash Mountain log ride. Splash Mountain is a log flume ride that originally opened in Disneyland in July of 1989. The attraction is based on the animated sequence of Disney's 1946 film, Song of the South. The ride experience begins with an outdoor float-through that leads to an indoor dark ride segment. A dark ride is an indoor amusement ride on which passengers aboard guided vehicles travel through specially lit scenes that typically contain animation, sound, music, and special effects. The Splash Mountain ride included animatronics and effects from the Disney film Song of the South. Following the initial indoor dark ride portion of the journey, the log boats would then venture to a climactic steep drop, which is then followed by an indoor finale. The drop is 52.5 feet or 16 meters. The Disneyland and Magic Kingdom versions of the ride both closed in 2023, but you can still find one version of the ride active in Disneyland Tokyo. The ride can vary in length, ranging from an 8-minute journey to upwards of 12 minutes, all dependent on various factors. William and his friend waited patiently in line until it was their turn to board the log-shaped boats. Both friends sat down in the boat, and soon the ride would begin. As the log boat moved forward along its predetermined course, William would immediately start to feel extremely ill. William leaned over to his friend in the adjacent boat and told him that he didn't think he could continue the journey. The problem was, the ride was already in full motion. There was simply no way to stop the momentum of the ride. As the ride carried on, the boats would eventually come to a halt. William would see this as an opportunity to exit the ride, and he did just that, climbing out and standing on the side of the canal next to the animatronics. William began looking around, trying to figure out where he'd be able to escape. Before anyone could say or do anything, William stated to the other passengers around him that he was going to try and cross here. The ride was still stopped, so William figured he could climb across one of the boats in order to get to the other side of the canal where there was an emergency exit. As William placed his foot on the boat and began his crossing, the ride would begin to push forward. This caused William to lose his balance. William would crash into the water. Before he could even gather his bearings, the next boat in line would smack into William, forcing him against the wall of the canalway. From reports gathered by witnesses on that day, it was an absolutely gut-wrenching scene. The boat would crush William against the canal wall, and as the boats continued to try and move forward, he would become more and more wedged in. Eventually, he would slip to the side of one of the boats, still being crushed tightly between the boat and the canalway wall. As this all transpired, the passengers would begin screaming for help. A panic overtook all those within the vicinity of where William was being crushed right before their eyes. A person who was on the boat that was crushing William would later speak out about how the boats behind her kept running into the back of her boat. Every time this happened, it caused William to become wedged even tighter between the boat and the wall. Eventually, Disney officials were made aware that something horrible had gone wrong on the ride. They would immediately engage the emergency stop, shutting down the ride and evacuating all those on it. William was eventually recovered from the water, and emergency services would rush him to the nearby Celebration Hospital, which is located in Kissimmee, Florida. Medical staff within the emergency room would do all they could for William, but sadly, he was pronounced dead at around 3 p.m. that afternoon. Following this loss of life, an investigation was soon launched into the incident. Disney officials would immediately comment, stating that the ride's operation had nothing to do with the tragedy. William's friend, who was with him that day, would end up speaking to the media, and he himself said that no one should be held accountable for his friend's death. He doesn't know what compelled William to get off the ride, but what he does know is that it was simply a tragic accident. Nothing more, nothing less. Disney would fully comply with the Orange County Police Department's investigation into the incident. The result of the investigation would determine that William's death was simply a horrible accident. Some have debated over the years whether William was sick to his stomach or whether he was having some sort of a panic attack. In the end, William's own friend who was with him that day has stated that even he doesn't know what compelled his friend to make the decisions he did on that fateful day. Typically, when I talk about tragic amusement park stories, it's usually a safety issue or some shortcuts the park has made that resulted in the tragedy. But in this case, William simply made some bad decisions that resulted in him losing his life in an absolutely horrifying manner. At the end of the day, what I do know for certain is that no one should have to suffer such a horrible fate. As always, I want to send my deepest condolences to all of William's family and friends. Cristina Morena was a 23-year-old woman who lived in Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona is a city on the northeastern coast of Spain. It is the capital and largest city of the autonomous community of Catalonia, as well as the second most populous municipality of Spain. Barcelona has a population of 1.6 million residents within its city limits. It was June of 2000. Cristina and her new husband were excited as they boarded a plane and traveled to California to spend their honeymoon. One spot they were most excited to visit on their trip was the Disneyland theme park. For more context, Disneyland is a theme park at the Disneyland Resort, which is located in Anaheim, California. It was the first theme park opened by the Walt Disney Company. It was also the only theme park that was designed and constructed under the direct supervision of the great Walt Disney himself. The park would open to guests on July 17, 1955. Christina and her husband had always wanted to visit the Disneyland theme park, and on June 25th of 2000, they did just that. From all reports, the couple's day at the park was going exactly as you would expect. They were having an amazing time, and soon they made the decision to wait in line for the Indiana Jones Temple of the Forbidden Eye ride. Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye is an enhanced motion vehicle dark ride attraction based on the Indiana Jones films that first premiered in theaters back in 1981 with Raiders of the Lost Ark. As I stated in the prior story, a dark ride is an indoor amusement ride on which passengers aboard guided vehicles travel through specially lit scenes that typically contain animation, sound, music, and special effects. Guests on the ride would accompany Indiana Jones on a quest through a dangerous lost temple. They would then board a military troop transport vehicle for a turbulent high-speed adventure. These transport vehicles would move at speeds upwards of 14 miles per hour, slowing and speeding up at different intervals in order to maintain a safe distance from the transport vehicle in front of them. With this safety precaution in place, sometimes the vehicles would slow to a crawl in order to allow another vehicle to gain distance. Then the vehicle would lurch back up to speed, taking off again. The idea was to create a thrilling ride through dark passages, transporting those riding it directly into the exciting world of Indiana Jones. The ride itself varied in length, ranging from 3 to 4 minutes to complete the journey. The ride would make its first premiere at Disneyland to invitation-only celebrities on March 3, 1995. It would then open to the general public on March 4th of 1995. After waiting in line for a little while, Christina and her husband were soon off on their Indiana Jones adventure. From what's been reported, nothing out of the ordinary took place on the couple's 4-minute adventure, but nonetheless, around a minute into the ride, Christina started to feel very ill. With the ride underway, there wasn't much else she could do but just do her best to push through. When the ride ended minutes later, Christina was not well. She had a pounding headache and was struggling to think clearly. With Christina not doing well, the couple decided to end their day at the park early, going back to their hotel so that Christina could relax. But as the day wore on, Christina's headache only got worse and she eventually lost consciousness. Christina's husband would soon rush her to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center located in Los Angeles, California. Doctors would run tests on Christina, and they would soon discover that she had suffered a brain hemorrhage. A brain bleed, also known as a brain hemorrhage, refers to bleeding between the brain tissue and the skull or inside the brain tissue itself. This is a life-threatening condition that requires immediate medical attention. Christina would spend time in the hospital and was soon transported by an air ambulance back to her country of Spain. From what's been reported, Christina would never regain consciousness. Her family would stay by her side for 2 months before she tragically passed away in September of 2000. Around a year after her death, Christina's family would file a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney. At the time, Disney had no idea that Christina had died after riding one of their rides, at least not until they received the wrongful death lawsuit. Disney would immediately put out a statement that safety always has and always will be their top priority. Within the lawsuit, the family made claims that Disney had pushed the envelope with this particular ride and that the nature of the sudden starting and stopping and jerking around within the vehicle had caused Christina to suffer an aneurysm. In the end, Disney would end up settling out of court just as pretrial motions had been scheduled for the case. It is unknown how much Disney settled for as the agreement is confidential, but I have to imagine it was a decent chunk of money, as Christina's family had reported that they ran up more than $1.3 million in medical expenses in Spain prior to her passing. In the end, Christina was a young woman who had just gotten married and was on her honeymoon, expecting it to be the time of her life. It's heartbreaking to know that she went on this ride, lost consciousness after, and never regained it. It must have been a crushing time for her husband and her entire family, an event they never truly could have ever seen coming. When I cover stories like this, my intent isn't to scare people from enjoying themselves. It's more to inform and make everyone aware of the dangers that could be lurking within any amusement park across the world. I want to once again send my deepest condolences to Christina's husband, as well as all her family and friends. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoy the content, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel continue to grow. Also, if you want to make sure you don't ever miss a new upload, you can turn on the bell notification after you subscribe. In the description box below, you'll find a link to my merch store and a link to the Cellar Dwellers membership tier for the channel. If you're interested, please take a moment to check those things out. If you'd like to submit your own scary story or any kind of story recommendation, you can do so using the email I have linked in the description box below. As always, I do all the research, writing, recording, and editing for the channel myself, so anything you do to support the channel is greatly appreciated. And until next time, I will see you all again as we head back into the cellar.